Welcome to Part 1 in the LSE Student Academic Mentor online training. In Part 1, we'll introduce you to the fundamental principles of mentoring itself and mentoring at LSE. This series of short online training videos will give you all the preparation you need to start mentoring successfully. Please watch this carefully. There will be questions at the end to test your understanding. Here's an outline of what we'll cover in Part 1. We'll look at the definition of mentoring. Why do we have a student mentoring scheme at LSE? What should a good mentoring scheme involve? Why do students need support when they begin university? And we'll talk lastly about helping students change their mindset. Okay, let's start with what is mentoring. You may have some impression of what mentoring is or how exactly a good mentor should behave, but let's start first with some definitions. So the first definition to consider comes primarily from an educational context, defining mentoring as the act or process of helping and giving advice to a younger or less experienced person, especially in a job or at school. The second definition considers mentoring as the process of supporting and advising someone with less experience to help them develop in their work. Those were very general definitions, but what's perhaps more important is to consider what is student mentoring in an LSE context. For the SAM programme, a more experienced student, normally second or third year, offers advice and guidance and a friendly face to a student with less experience of LSE, a first year. This guidance is often face-to-face, but in the SAM programme we emphasise the importance of flexibility in the support you offer to your mentees. This is particularly needed, especially when you have mentees who are first starting out in London, or in some cases may not always be able to come onto campus. So in the training module, we'll cover advice on how to give great support in all kinds of contexts, face-to-face, via email or text and virtually. Why did we introduce this scheme at LSE? Well, the idea was first brought to LSE Life by two undergrads in the economics department who wanted to set up a scheme to help facilitate better connections between first year students and the second and third years in their department. They felt that sometimes there were significant barriers between these year groups, and that first years in particular often struggled to tap into the great resource that was students in their second and third year. We've now grown significantly in size from our first year, where we started off with only 29 mentors and 68 mentees, to now where we have around 200 mentors and 700 plus mentees every year. And that's why we need your help. So what are the benefits of student-to-student departmental mentoring schemes at LSE? Well, there are benefits for both mentees and mentors. Benefits for mentees include mentees feeling more comfortable asking their fellow students questions, mentees feeling much more comfortable making mistakes in front of a fellow student, Mentees who are first year students feel more supported with the transition to university. There is a more friendly, supportive and collaborative atmosphere within the department. Mentees are able to get support outside and away from lectures and seminars. But there are also distinct benefits for mentors. Learning to support others is also about helping yourself. You'll be developing new skills on leadership, communication, organisation and time management. Your future employability will be enhanced with these newly acquired skills. And you're helping to build a more friendly, supportive and collaborative atmosphere within the department, which benefits everyone. Mentors also have a very important role to play in enhancing university life at LSE. You are helping to build a stronger sense of community amongst the students. And you are helping to build friendly relationships throughout each department from one year to another. But don't just take our word for it. Let's look at what previous mentors have had to say. It made me learn a lot about my own experiences over the past 2 years as I thought and articulated it to my mentees. This was a truly wonderful experience and enabled me to put my own goals and experiences in perspective. It helped me to realise how much I have grown as a student and person. I've learned that a smile and a few words of encouragement can go a long way. I also just really enjoy getting to know my mentees and see what kind of experience they had in their first year and how it was different to mine. I personally also have a stronger sense of belonging to the LSE. It feels great to be able to help others. Let's move on now to thinking about the experience of transitioning to university and remember back to your own experience of starting at LSE. Why do students need support when they begin university? How did you feel? Do you remember what it felt like to be starting at LSE? What worries did you have? What were you excited about? How did you find your first few days and weeks at LSE? One of the best things about SAMS is that you get to share your experiences with others. So don't be worried about being honest about your first year experience. This is far more relatable than talking to a student who sounds like they are just regurgitating the website. So how did you find your first year modules? What was easy? What was tough? What took longer than you expected to get to grips with? How was it navigating your way around campus those first few days and weeks? Where did you find good coffee and good food? How was it when you suddenly were confronted with all that reading? Did you feel pressure to look for internships and worry about spring week straight away? How did you get to know new people in those first few days and weeks? All that is to say, don't forget the mistakes as much as the triumphs. SAMs are not SAMs because they are quote unquote perfect students. Hopefully, you volunteer because you feel you have something helpful to share. The last important principle of mentoring to discuss in part 1 is the role of SAMs in helping other students to change their mindsets.
So, what exactly is a growth mindset? Well, a growth mindset is a way of thinking about learning that improves the way you take on new, more difficult challenges at work, school, home, or any other context.
So, for example, a person that has a growth mindset appreciates failure. They think it's an opportunity to grow. Whereas a person with a fixed mindset sees failure as the limit of their own abilities. For the fixed mindset, they tend to think, I'm either good at something or I'm not. My abilities are unchanging. I can either do it or I can't. My potential is predetermined. And also, people with a fixed mindset tend to feel frustrated and they want to give up. They take feedback and criticism too personally and they prefer to stick with what they know. Through the support of a SAM, you can help your students transition from a fixed mindset to more of a growth mindset. You can help to show them that challenges help me to grow, that they can learn to do anything that they want, and that the effort and attitude that they put into something determines their ability. You can also help them understand crucially that feedback is constructive. It's not a personal criticism of them, it's just a mechanism to help them improve. And hopefully you'll help them to realise it's good to try new things. I like trying these new things, and from these new things I can grow. Okay, so that's the end of part 1.